You know that feeling when you set a massive goal, lose 50 pounds, write a book, completely transform your life, and for the first few days, maybe even weeks, you're unstoppable. You're waking up at 5 a.m., meal prepping, working out, journaling. You feel like a completely different person. And then, life happens. You miss one day, then two, then suddenly it's been 3 months and you're right back where you started, except now you're carrying something heavier than before, the weight of another failed attempt. Here's what nobody tells you. The problem isn't your lack of willpower. The problem is that you've been lied to about how real change actually works. What if I told you there's a Japanese philosophy, one that helped rebuild an entire nation from the ashes of World War II, that completely contradicts everything you've been taught about self-improvement? A system so subtle, so deceptively simple, that most people dismiss it right before it transforms their entire existence. This is the story of one man's journey from rock bottom to complete transformation. But more importantly, it's about the ancient system that made it possible. A system you can start using today, right now, in the next 60 seconds. If this resonates with you, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And when you're done watching, I want you to comment one word, the first tiny change you're going to make. Just one word. We'll see why that matters at the end. Now, let me tell you about a man named David. Chapter 1. The Day Everything Changed. March 14th, 2019. 11:47 p.m. David Chen sat on the edge of his bathtub, his hands trembling as they gripped the cold porcelain. The fluorescent light above him flickered, had been flickering for 3 weeks now, but he hadn't bothered to change it. Why would he? He barely recognized the face staring back at him from the mirror anyway. 38 years old. 287 pounds. Pre-diabetic. His doctor had used that word like it was supposed to be a comfort. Pre. As if the diabetes was still just thinking about moving in, hadn't unpacked its bags yet. But David knew better. He'd watched his father die at 52 from complications of the disease. Watched him lose his foot first, then his vision, then everything else. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Melissa and the kids had been asleep for hours. Or at least, they were pretending to be asleep. David knew his wife could hear him moving around at night. Knew she felt the bed shift when he got up for the third or fourth time. Unable to sleep. Unable to breathe properly. Unable to exist in his own skin without feeling suffocated. She didn't say anything anymore. That was the worst part. In the beginning, God, was it only 6 months ago? She would ask. Are you okay? Do you want to talk? Maybe we could go for a walk together? But after watching him start and quit 17 different diets, 3 gym memberships, 2 personal training packages, and a meditation app that cost $12 a month and sat unused on his phone, she'd stopped asking. The silence was louder than any argument could ever be. David looked down at his phone. 43 unread messages in the family group chat. His brother's wedding was in 8 weeks. The suit he'd bought 2 years ago, the expensive one, he'd promised himself he'd fit into, eventually hung in his closet like a monument to broken promises. He'd already typed out the excuse 3 different times. Delete, delete, delete. Because the truth was too heavy to type. I'm terrified to see my own family because I've become invisible in my own life. Tomorrow was Friday. He'd promised himself again that Monday he would start. Really start. He'd already bookmarked a new workout program. 60 minutes a day. 6 days a week. HIIT training, weightlifting, meal planning, intermittent fasting, cold showers, and a complete sleep schedule overhaul. Total transformation in 90 days. Monday. A fresh start. A new David. Except, Monday was what he'd said last Friday. And the Friday before that. And every Friday for the past 3 years. He stood up, his knees creaking with the effort. 38 years old, and his body sounded like his father's had at 60. He caught his reflection again, and this time, he didn't look away. The man in the mirror was his father. Same tired eyes. Same defeated posture. Same slow-motion car crash into an early grave, except this time there'd be 3 children and a wife left behind. David felt it then. That familiar tightness in his chest. The feeling of drowning on dry land. The feeling of watching your own life from outside your body, powerless to change anything. He grabbed the edge of the sink, steadied himself, took a breath. And that's when he made the decision. Not the decision to change. He'd made that one 1,000 times. No, this was different. This was the decision to get help. Real help. Chapter 2. The Mentor. Dr. Kenji Matsumoto's office wasn't what David expected. There was no desk. No couch. No diplomas, screaming credentials. Just a small room with hardwood floors, 2 cushions, a window overlooking a garden where rain still dripped from the leaves of a Japanese maple, and the faint smell of green tea. Melissa had found him through a friend of a friend. He's not a regular therapist, she'd said carefully. He does something different. Dr. Matsumoto was 73 years old, but moved like a man half his age. Silver hair, gentle eyes, and hands that looked like they'd built things. He gestured for David to sit, then settled onto the cushion opposite him. Tea, doctor? Matsumoto asked. Sure. The old man poured slowly, carefully, as if the act itself mattered more than the result. Tell me what you ate for breakfast yesterday, Dr. Matsumoto said. David blinked. What? Yesterday morning. What did you eat? I don't remember. Maybe nothing? I was running late. And when your daughter talks to you about her day, where do your eyes go? David felt something crack inside his chest. My phone, he whispered. They go to my phone. Dr. Matsumoto sipped his tea. You came here because you want to change your life. Yes? Yes. Here is the truth. David, you cannot change your life. Your life is not a thing. It is not separate from you. You are your life. The old man leaned forward slightly. Every single moment you are alive, you are creating your life. Right now, in this room, you are creating it. Yesterday, when you didn't eat breakfast, creating it. When you grab your phone, instead of looking at your daughter, creating it. So what do I do? Dr. Matsumoto smiled. You do one thing. One very small thing. And then, you do it again. And again. Until you become someone who does that thing. That's it? David couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. No, the old man said quietly. That is not my system. That is Kaizen. It is how you learn to walk. How you learn to talk. But somewhere, you forgot. You started believing in transformation. In before and after. In the person you could become if only you tried hard enough. He set his cup down with a soft clink. But trying hard is violence against yourself. And violence always fails. What I will teach you is not how to try hard. I will teach you how to become. I want you to do one thing for me this week. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you do anything else, drink 1 glass of water. 8 ounces. That is all. David waited for more. There wasn't any more. That's it? 1 glass of water? Yes. What about exercise? Meal planning? The diet? I'm pre-diabetic. I need 1 glass of water. Can you do that? David felt frustrated, angry, even. He'd come here for real help, not some mystical, oversimplified nonsense about drinking water. But he looked at the old man's eyes and saw something there. Not judgment, just patience. Fine, David said. 1 glass of water. Good. Dr. Matsumoto stood. Come back in 1 week, same time. At the door, David turned back. Do you really think this will work? The old man smiled. I think you are about to find out who you actually are. Not who you wish you were. Who you are. And that, David, is the beginning of everything. Chapter 3, The Hidden Philosophy. David woke up the next morning to his alarm like he always did. 6:47 a.m. He reached for his phone on instinct, then stopped. 1 glass of water. He walked to the kitchen and filled a glass from the tap. 8 ounces. He drank it. It tasted like water. Nothing special. No lightning bolt of transformation. Just water. The day swallowed him whole, just like every other day. But here's what David didn't notice. When he woke up on Saturday morning without an alarm, he walked to the kitchen and poured a glass of water. He didn't think about it, didn't decide to do it, just did it. And on Sunday morning, same thing. By Monday, it had been a week. So, how was your week? Dr. Matsumoto asked. Fine. I drank water. Like you said. Every day? Yeah, every morning. The old man smiled. Do you know what you just did? Drank some water? No. You made a promise to yourself. And you kept it. Doctor. Matsumoto let that sit in the air. For most people, this is impossible. They cannot keep a promise to themselves for 7 days. Not because they lack discipline, but because they make promises that are violence. Violence? Yes. When you promise yourself you will exercise 60 minutes every day, that is violence. When you promise yourself you will never eat sugar again, that is violence. Your body knows violence when it feels it, so it resists. But 1 glass of water? This is so small that your body doesn't even notice it's changing. You have just proven to yourself that you are someone who can keep promises. This is everything. David felt something shift inside him. What's the next step? Dr. Matsumoto pulled out a small notebook. In Japan, we have a word, Kaizen. It means continuous improvement through small changes. After World War II, Japan was destroyed. Completely. And we rebuilt. But not through huge, dramatic changes. Through tiny improvements. Every day. 1% better. Then, 1% better again. Until the country was transformed. He traced a finger along the pages. This is what you are doing. You are rebuilding yourself. Kaizen asks you to stop measuring yourself against who you could be, and start measuring yourself against who you were yesterday. Here is your second principle. Shoshin. Beginner's mind. You must approach each day as if you know nothing. Because when you think you already know how to be you, you stop paying attention. And when you stop paying attention, you disappear. David wrote it down. Shoshin. Beginner's mind. This week, you will add one more small thing. After you drink your water, you will take 5 deep breaths. That is all. Just 5 breaths? Yes. What about the diet? The exercise? I've been thinking. No. The word was gentle but absolute. Your brain still wants violence. It wants to prove itself. But that is not Kaizen. That is ego. And ego always fails. Trust the system, David. 1 glass of water. 5 deep breaths. That is enough. Week 2. Water. 5 breaths. Every morning. David started noticing things. The way his daughter's voice changed when she talked about something she was excited about. The way morning light hit the kitchen counter. Shoshin. Beginner's mind. Week 3. Dr. Matsumoto added, after your 5 breaths, write down one thing you are grateful for. 1 sentence. In a notebook. With a pen. David bought a small notebook. I'm grateful for Melissa making coffee. I'm grateful for my son's laugh. Simple things. Tiny things. Things he'd never noticed before. Week 4. Para, hachi, bu. Eating until you're 80% full. Not a diet. Just awareness. When you feel satisfied, not stuffed, stop. David tried it. Failed. Tried again. Failed. Again. But something was different this time. When he failed, he didn't spiral. Didn't quit. He just tried again the next meal. Because he was still drinking his water. Still taking his breaths. Still writing his gratitude. Those 3 things hadn't stopped. They were automatic now. He was building something. Slowly. Almost invisibly. Chapter 4. The First Fall. Week 7. David stood in the parking lot of a McDonald's at 9:47 p.m., grease-stained bag in his hand, and felt the full weight of his failure crushing down on him. He'd been doing so well. 7 weeks of tiny changes, stacking on top of each other. He'd lost 11 pounds without trying. His sleep was better. Melissa had noticed. The kids had noticed. Everything was working. Until today, work had exploded. 3 deadlines colliding. 8 hours straight. Without a break. Without lunch. Without anything except coffee and stress. He'd skipped his walk, skipped his stretching, and then, driving home exhausted and angry, he'd seen the Golden Arches. 2 Big Macs, large fries, chocolate shake, all gone in under 10 minutes. David looked at the bag in his lap, felt the familiar weight. See? You haven't changed at all. You'll always be the same person. He drove home in silence, went straight to the bathroom. The man in the mirror was the same man from 7 weeks ago, wasn't he? He didn't sleep that night. Just lay there, convinced that tomorrow he wouldn't drink his water, wouldn't take his breaths, wouldn't write his gratitude, because he'd broken the streak, failed the system. You look tired, Dr. Matsumoto said the next morning. David had shown up unscheduled. I messed up. Tell me? David told him everything. Dr. Matsumoto listened. When David finished, the old man smiled. Good, he said. David stared. Good? Yes, you have just learned the most important principle of Kaizen, Shogunai. I don't understand. Shogunai means it cannot be helped. You ate fast food yesterday. This is a fact. It happened. You cannot undo it. So the question becomes, what will you do now? I don't know. Did you drink your water this morning? David paused. Actually, yeah. I didn't even think about it. Just did it automatically. And your 5 breaths? Yeah. And your gratitude sentence? Yeah. The old man laughed. You see? You didn't fail. You had a difficult day. You made a choice you regret. And then, this morning, you continued anyway. Most people, when they make a mistake, they destroy everything. They say, I've already failed. So, what's the point? But you didn't do that. You woke up and drank your water. You didn't let one difficult moment erase 7 weeks of showing up. Dr. Matsumoto leaned forward. This is the heart of Kaizen. It is not about perfection. It is about continuation. Shogunai, it cannot be helped. You will make mistakes. But if you continue anyway, then you haven't failed. You have just learned how to be human. David felt something release in his chest. So, what do I do now? You do exactly what you did this morning. You drink your water tomorrow. You take your 5 breaths. You continue building. And every time you fail, because you will fail again, you practice Shogunai. You accept it, and then you continue. There is one more principle, wabi-sabi, the art of finding beauty in imperfection. In Japan, when a bowl breaks, we repair it with gold. We make the cracks visible, because the bowl is more beautiful because it broke. He looked directly into David's eyes. You are like this bowl. Your cracks do not make you less, they make you more. Chapter 5, Identity Shift. 3 months, 90 days of small changes stacking on top of each other like compound interest. David woke up at 6:15 now. Not because he set an alarm, but because his body just woke up. Ready. Water. 5 breaths. Gratitude sentence. Walk. Stretching. 1 vegetable at every meal. Phone away during meals. Read to his daughter. Before bed. Small things, all of them small, but together, they had transformed everything. 32 pounds, gone, without trying, without suffering, without violence. He didn't even weigh himself regularly anymore. The number didn't matter the way it used to. What mattered was that he could play with his kids without needing a break, that he looked at Melissa across the table and actually saw her. The suit arrived. Size 44. It fit perfectly. But it was Tuesday morning when everything truly changed. David was making breakfast, scrambled eggs with spinach, when his son walked in. Dad, Noah was 12. Yeah. Buddy, can you teach me how to do what you're doing? David looked up. What do you mean? You know. The being better thing. You're different now. happier. I want to do that too. David felt something crack open inside his chest. Not the bad kind of breaking, the kind that lets light in. He turned off the stove, pulled out a glass, filled it with water, and handed it to his son. Drink this, every morning, before anything else. Noah looked confused. That's it? That's it, for now. Just the water. 1 week. Can you do that? His son nodded. Yeah. Okay. Good. Then next week, I'll teach you the next thing. That afternoon, David told Dr. Matsumoto about the conversation. The old man was quiet for a long moment. Then, you are no longer becoming someone different. You have become someone different. Do you understand the distinction? I'm not sure. In the beginning, you were doing these things because you wanted to change. You were motivated by the gap between who you were and who you wanted to be. But now you do these things because it is simply who you are. You drink water in the morning not because you are trying to be healthy. You drink water because you are someone who drinks water. Dr. Matsumoto leaned back. This is what the Japanese call ikigai, your reason for being. Real ikigai is found in the small actions that define who you are. When you become the kind of person who shows up for himself, who keeps small promises, who continues even after failure, this becomes your ikigai. Not what you do, who you are. I want you to write down the story of who you are becoming, not who you were, not who you want to be, who you are becoming, right now. David wrote late into the night. I am becoming someone who keeps his promises. I am becoming someone who pays attention. I am becoming someone my children can learn from. I am becoming someone who understands that transformation is not an event, it is 1,000 small decisions, repeated until they become automatic. When he finished, he realized something profound. He wasn't writing about a future version of himself. He was writing about who he already was. The gap had closed. Chapter 6. Proof of Change. I don't understand, Dr. Patel said, looking at her computer screen. These are your numbers from 6 months ago? Yes. Your A1C was 6.3. Now it's 5.2. Your triglycerides were 247. Now they're 118. Your blood pressure was 142/95. Today, it's 118/76. She looked up. David, what did you do? He wanted to say, I drank water. I took 5 breaths. Instead, I made some small changes. These aren't small changes. These are remarkable changes. The proof showed up everywhere now. His daughter Emma had started asking him to play after school, because he wasn't too tired anymore. Melissa had started touching his arm when she walked by. Small touches that said, You're here, you came back. At work, people noticed. His boss stopped micromanaging. Colleagues asked his advice. But the moment David really knew that everything had changed, came on a random Thursday. He was giving a presentation, same kind he'd given 100 times. Except this time, he wasn't nervous, wasn't sweating, wasn't frantically checking his notes. He just spoke, clearly, confidently. Afterward, his boss pulled him aside. That was great work. Thanks. No, I mean it. What changed? On the drive home, David thought about that question. What changed? Everything. And nothing. Same job, same family, same house, same problems. But he was different in every way that mattered. Not because he'd transformed into someone else, but because he'd become more himself than he'd ever been. He went inside to his family, his life. Chapter 7. The Complete System. 6 months since that first glass of water, David sat across from Dr. Matsumoto, his notebook open. The old man had asked him to write down everything he'd learned. Read it to me, Dr. Matsumoto said. Kaizen, continuous improvement through small changes. 1% better every day, compounding over time, not through violence, through patience. Shoshin, beginner's mind, approaching each day as if I know nothing, staying present. Harahachibu, eating until 80% full, listening to my body. Shogunai, it cannot be helped, accepting failure as part of the process. Continuing, anyway. wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection, embracing my cracks, ikigai, my reason for being, found in the simple act of showing up. David looked up. Is that it? Dr. Matsumoto smiled. The system is not the principles. The principles are just words. The system is you. You are the system. Every morning when you drink your water, you are practicing the system. He pulled out paper and drew a circle, imperfect, hand-drawn, not quite connecting at the end. And so, these circles represent enlightenment, the universe. But more, they represent the beauty of imperfection. Your life is like this circle. Not perfect, never finished, but beautiful because of its imperfection. Every day you live is one more stroke. Some days the line is thick and bold. Some days thin and uncertain. But as long as you keep drawing, you are creating something. And when you are old, like me, you will not see the imperfections. You will see the whole thing. Complete. Beautiful. Yours. David felt tears in his eyes. Thank you for everything. Dr. Matsumoto bowed slightly. You did the work. I only showed you the path. You will continue to see me. Once a month, we will drink tea. Because the work is never finished. Kaizen has no endpoint. There is only the next step, and the next, forever. Chapter 8. Long-term transformation. 2 years. David stood at his brother's wedding, watching the kids play. He looked good. Not just the 58 pounds he'd lost. He looked alive. You look good, man, his brother said, hugging him. Like, really good. You look alive. Alive? That was exactly it. Noah walked up, now 14. Dad, I've been doing the thing for 18 months. Do you think Dr. Matsumoto would talk to me? David felt his heart expand. Yeah, buddy. I think he'd like that a lot. At work, David had been promoted. Not because he'd been working 80-hour weeks, but because he'd become someone people wanted to follow. Someone steady. Someone present. He'd started a small group at the office where people could share their own small habits. Started with 3 people. Now, there were 27. They called it the 1% Club. But the biggest change showed up in unexpected places. His father-in-law asked David to teach him the system. Started with water. Now, 8 months later, he'd lost 40 pounds, and his doctor was reducing medication. Melissa's best friend, going through a divorce, started joining David for morning walks. Gradually, day by day, she started coming back to herself. Kaizen. The word had become part of his family's vocabulary. David had started a real journal documenting everything. The principles, the habits, the failures and continuations. Maybe he'd share it someday. But it felt important to write it down, to make it real. One night, Melissa turned to him in the dark. Do you remember when you asked me if I still loved you? David remembered. 6 months before Dr. Matsumoto, I remember. I didn't know how to answer then. But now I know. I love you. This you. The one who's here. The one who came back. David pulled her close. I love you too. And I'm sorry it took me so long. You're here now. That's what matters. Chapter 9. The Legacy Moment. 3 years after that first glass of water, David's mother-in-law called. Your father's in the hospital. His father-in-law. Stage 4 cancer. They'd found it 2 weeks ago. Now he was in hospice. David left work immediately. Halfway there, he pulled over. Took 5 deep breaths. Slow. Intentional. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And suddenly, he was present again. Not panicking. Just there. When he walked into the hospital room, Melissa was holding her father's hand. The old man looked small in the bed, but his eyes were clear. David, he said weakly. Hey, Tom. I wanted to thank you. For what? For saving my life. Not literally, I know I'm dying. But you saved the life I had left. These last 8 months, losing the weight, feeling better, playing with my grandkids, that was because of what you taught me. 1 glass of water. That's how it started. Tom squeezed David's hand. You're going to teach this to everyone who will listen. This is your ikigai now. You became someone who shows people how to come back to themselves. Don't forget that. David nodded, unable to speak. Good. Now go home. Drink your water. Be with your family. That's all that matters. Tom passed away 3 days later, at peace. At the funeral, David gave the eulogy. He talked about the man Tom had been, and who he'd become in his final months. He showed me that it's never too late, that you can be 73, diagnosed with cancer, and still choose to be better than you were yesterday. That Kaizen isn't about having time. It's about using the time you have. After the service, people came up one by one. What's Kaizen? Can you teach me? David looked at Melissa. Yeah, I can teach you. Chapter 10, Direct Message to You. So here's what I need you to understand. This isn't just a story about David. This is a story about you. Right now, you're thinking about your own life. The things you want to change. The weight, the habits, the person you want to become. And you're probably thinking about Monday. Starting fresh. Making a plan. Committing to complete transformation. And I need to tell you, that is not going to work. Not because you can't do it, but because you're thinking about change the wrong way. Transformation is not an event. It's not something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you. One tiny decision at a time. Repeated until those decisions become automatic. Here's what I want you to do. Right now. Today. Not Monday. Not when you're ready. Right now. Pick one thing. One impossibly small thing. So small it feels stupid. Maybe it's one glass of water when you wake up. Maybe it's 5 deep breaths. Maybe it's one sentence of gratitude. Maybe it's putting your phone in another room during dinner. One thing. That's it. And you have to do it tomorrow. And the next day. For 1 week. 7 days. Can you keep one small promise to yourself for 7 days? If you can do that, if you can prove to yourself that you're someone who keeps small promises, everything changes. Not because the habit itself is magic, but because you will have started to rewire your identity. And then, after 7 days, you add one more small thing, and then another. Kaizen. 1% better. Compounding over time until you look back 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now, and you don't recognize who you used to be. But it starts with one thing, one small thing. Today, go to the comments right now and write one word, just one word. The first small thing you're going to do tomorrow morning. Water, breathe, stretch, read, walk, grateful. One word. That's your promise to yourself. Because here's the truth. Nobody is coming to save you. There is no perfect system. No magic pill. No transformation that happens while you wait. There is only you. And this moment. And the next small choice you make. That's it. That's the whole system. Kaizen. Continuous improvement through small changes. Shoshin. Beginner's mind. Shogunai. Failure is part of the process. Wabi-sabi. Your imperfections make you beautiful. Ikigai. Your reason for being is found in showing up. Enso. The circle of your life. Imperfect and complete. Your life is waiting. Not the life you dream about. The life you have right now. It's not too late. It's never too late. But you have to start. One small thing. One day at a time. One glass of water. Kaizen. Now go. Write your word. And tomorrow morning, keep your promise. The rest will follow. I promise.